Sign in yet, and you're sitting, you can sign in on your way out. That's fine. No problem. No, it's going to go out if non-voting. Perfect. It should be. I think it's just going to go under middle states. It'll just go on under middle states. Awesome. We're going to get this party started. All right. Okay, it is 2:34 on the second Tuesday of October, and it is time to start our College Senate meeting. So many of you already know, but Dr. Balkin sent an email out over the weekend reporting very sad news that our former provost and executive vice president of academics, Rick Musalowski, has passed. Rick was just an amazing man and an amazing proponent and cheerleader for SUNY Erie. He started our mental health program, and appropriately enough, yesterday was National Mental Health Day. And at home, when I was reading articles about it, I couldn't help but think about Rick and all of the hard work that he's done at the college for all of that, but also that program in particular. I know there's further information and things like that coming out, but out of respect for Rick and all the work that he's done, I'd like to take a moment of silence in his honor. Thank you. Okay, so a couple of different things that I wanted to review quickly before we began the meeting today. I know last week was our football homecoming, but there's a football game this Friday. It's at 1 p.m. at South Campus against Milford Academy. It might be easier for us to get our students to possibly attend because it's an afternoon game versus an evening game. I know our phys ed and health science programs are going to be coordinating a tailgate for students and faculty outside of the game. So you might want to encourage your students to attend. It should be really fun. I'm planning on going there as well. So then you get to hang out with me, right, outside of the Senate, and all of our students, and it should be a good game. It's supposed to be a decent day out, too, and today is, of course, also a beautiful day, which is fantastic because it's been freezing the last few days. One other thing Michael Higgins, wanted to just briefly discuss, as we usually do most October meetings, especially now that we have gotten into the swing of things with classes. I'm trying to make this thing on the side go away, but that's whatever. Anyway, student complaints. We are College Senate. We focus on academic, so I'm going to review the academic complaint process. This graphic is also for all different complaint processes, but if it's an academic concern and if it's a grading concern, students should go to their instructor first, all right? After their instructor, it's the department chair, and after that it's the academic dean. So if things are not solved between department chair, academic dean, and first and foremost the instructor, then it elevates to the next level, to the provost's office or the formal complaint process. And I like to just remind people of that because I know sometimes students aren't sure of what to do with different cases. So anytime a student talks to me and they ask, X, Y, Z about this class, the first question I always have is, did you talk to your instructor? Yes. Okay. Did you talk to the department chair? No. All right, this is what you need to do. Go to the department chair. Even if the student, let's say the student says they're not comfortable talking to the instructor, then you can say, well, then it's the department chair. It's not going to fly all the way up to the provost's office or the president's office. We need to make sure that we follow the complaint process that is outlined in our Board of Trustees policies, et cetera, and college policies. With that, also with the beginning of the school year, I just want to also remind everybody of the academic freedom policy that was passed through College Senate. Several of us in this room helped draft it, and then we passed it and it went to the Board of Trustees. It was accepted, also accepted by FFECC leadership. I have this on the Senate site, as well as the Faculty Council of Community Colleges white paper on academic freedom in case you need further explanation. But again, academic freedom means that both faculty members and students can engage in intellectual debate without fear of censorship or retaliation. All right, it allows faculties to remain true to our pedagogical philosophy and intellectual commitments, but also preserves the intellectual integrity of our educational system. Our academic freedom in teaching means that both faculty members and students can make comparisons and contrast between subjects taught in a course in any field of human knowledge or period of history. It gives all of us rights to express views through our work inside of the classroom. All right, so that is there for us to review as well. It's a little lengthy, but let me just highlight this last paragraph. Academic freedom guarantees that academic decisions by faculty members, such as student grades, must be respected and shall not be overturned, except for good and sufficient reasons, such as those described above. And this academic freedom policy also gives faculty members substantial latitude in deciding how to teach our courses of which we are responsible. So this was here, and it was passed in June 2019, and we've been periodically reviewing this on the Senate floor, just as a reminder now that we've got our feet wet with the semester. All right, so with that, I would like to turn it over to President Dr. Balkin.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for coming. There's a few things I want to touch on. Obviously I want to echo Colleen's comments about Rick Musalowski. And frankly, he was one of the first people I met when I came here. Just really a generous man with a great heart who really had an expertise in rehabilitation services and leveraged it throughout his full career here since 1985. He did everything from adjunct to be the provost and executive vice president. I mean, truly a miraculous contributor to the college. I think he had his fingers in over 40 or 50 different programs getting approved. The impact that he's had on this college and the trajectory changes that he's had on the lives of students will never be measured. So just, very thankful for the opportunity to have gotten to know him just a little bit. I also want to touch on a couple of things. Colleen mentioned the football game this week. We just got word that we're going to be holding our final game of the season on November 5th, our final home game, on the Buffalo Bills Highmark Stadium field. So that'll be kind of an exciting thing for our students, and hopefully we can rally more people to participate, students, staff, and faculty. It should be a great time. The county is covering the security expense, but again, just a great opportunity for us to celebrate our sports and specifically our football team this November 5th. Also want to touch on a couple of personnel items, specifically Chris Musalowski, who has served as our Executive Director of Advancement and was most recently also serving as our Interim Vice President of Workforce Development, has left the college. We anticipate backfilling him in the Executive Director of Advancement role within a matter of weeks, and we're finalizing the interviews for the VP of Workforce Development in the next 48 hours. So we've already started those interviews, and we anticipate having a great backfill in the very near future. I also wanted to highlight that Mark Pacholik, who was our interim Associate Vice President of of Safety and Security, is now a full-time Associate Vice President, so he's no longer interim. He's been promoted, so if you see Mark, congratulate him on that. I also wanted to highlight that Joe Lundeen and I have been working with the Buffalo News to try to address some technical challenges, but ultimately the Buffalo News is going to make their online service available to all of our students, staff, and faculty. So that's kind of a nice perk for staff and faculty who haven't historically been able to access it. I'm not interested in hurting their revenue model, so if you have a current online subscription, I'd appreciate if you keep it. But they've been very accommodating and very helpful in trying to figure out how best to move the college forward. Also, I wanted to let you know that we've been in discussions with the Buffalo and Erie County Public Library about collaboration opportunities. And I think the first opportunity we're going to take advantage of is converting all of our student, staff, and faculty IDs into library cards. For those who are willing to sign off on a FERPA waiver, it being that our registrar will have to provide certain confidential information such as is required for a library card. But again, it will be kind of a rolling admissions process whereby our registrar can get information, and once a month we can update the list that will be included. So that's kind of fun and exciting stuff. Also, I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that many of you may have seen people streaming out of here. We had an introductory session with Ellucian Banner where they were presenting a high-level overview of some of the capabilities, primarily focused on HR, financial aid, finance today. It went for about 4 hours, and again, they just started to scratch the surface. But the intent was to provide the functional groups an opportunity to see what we're looking at moving forward. Participants today included people from Ellucian, but also SIG, Strata Information Group, which is a consulting organization that's going to help us with the implementation, as well as people from ITech, which is out of Buff State, Information Technology Exchange Consortium, and SECUS, and I don't remember what that stands for, but that's also out of a SUNY system, Oneonta, and they provide back-end support services. So ITech provides front-end, Banner support services, and SECUS provides back-end. So all that to say, we should be in really good position moving forward, really excited about the prospects of how we're transforming the college. And I want to thank each and every one of you for all you're doing. I mean, candidly, we're in a position where I think we all know one of the key things we have to do is focus on retention of our students. Anything you can do to wrap your arms around your students to get them to appreciate what they're gaining by being here, and also helping them to address issues that might be causing them to look elsewhere or stop out is critical. And moving forward, I've been saying since February, we need to really start focusing on developing micro-credentials in conjunction with our advisory groups. If your program has an advisory group that isn't asking you for help in identifying employees, they're probably not the right people to have on your group. Or you need to expand your group to include more, because there's just so many people out there looking for our students to help. And we can do earn while you learn, apprenticeships, internships. There's so many different opportunities for us to engage our students with employers. And again, first and foremost will be our need to be able to also go to those employees to help upskill their existing staff and employees. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions. All right, thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, so we have the minutes from our September meeting. They've been posted, I don't know, for over a week or so now. There they are. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes from September? Gordy, second? Tom? Any questions or concerns? Okay, so the motion passes by consent. Thank you. We're going to move on to our governance report. Michael Reel.
Hi, so there was an election in September for a voting liaison. I'd like to report those results. There were two nominees, Cheryl Duquette and Andrew Anasi. Andrew Anasi won that seat, so he's our new voting liaison. We have new appointments. Colleen Ongst, Rosa Gonzalez, Jessica Hoppy, Connie and Elizabeth are filling vacant seats. And we have a couple vacancies, so we'll try to get that information out to people soon. That's governance.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. And congratulations, Andrea, on your election. Is Andrea here? Okay. We also had some new non-voting liaisons appointed. Nicole Pike representing workforce, Jennifer Noble representing academic deans, Eileen Casey representing marketing, and Steve Mullen representing student life. Anyone here? Give us a wave. Yay. All right, thank you. And then our new senators, Colleen Ongst, Rosa Gonzalez, I saw both of you. Connie is here. Jessica wasn't able to make it. Elizabeth, is Elizabeth here? All right, yay, thank you. Thank you for your service, all of you. We appreciate it. These ladies are filling in with a one-year appointment to make sure that we are at full capacity so that we can get the business of the college done. And then they will be invited to self-nominate, or we could all nominate for the next election cycle. So thank you again, everybody, for your service. Chancellor Awards.
Oh, you already had it open. No worries. Okay, so the deadline for the adjunct nominations has passed. We didn't get any nominations this time around. I'm not that concerned about it. It comes around every year, and we always forget about it, I think, because it's so close to when the semester starts. So I will do my best, as will Jackie, to remind you guys maybe in May to kind of like put it on your radar so we can kind of be aware of it. So next up, we have what I'm calling the Big Five: faculty service, librarianship, professional service, scholarship and creative activities, and teaching. We do not need to nominate in every category, so don't get excited. But I want you to be aware that we've got 5 possibilities to submit nominations. The SUNY Handbook that I posted on the Senate site, I took the time and highlighted it for you, and I did that for a couple of reasons. The first, you'll see that deadline right there, that's when Jackie and I have to get it to SUNY. Before it goes to SUNY, it hangs out with me and Jackie and whoever our committee is. It's got to go to Dr. Balkin, because he's got to sign off on it. So for everybody's sanity, January 20th is our deadline. That's a Friday. It's also Colleen's birthday. 5 p.m., Friday, January 20th. That's when they're due. I'm not taking them. I'm not looking at my email on Saturday the 21st at all. I'm not looking at my email after 5 p.m. on Friday the 20th. So there's a big, long process, and we have to check a lot of boxes once we get nominations. So that's why I've got that month kind of buffer for us. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. You can read through this. It's 16 pages of SUNY delightfulness. I've just highlighted a few things. So every single nomination category I highlighted in green. So if you're looking for a specific category, it's easy for you to scroll through this and find it. Each category has its own specific nomination criteria, and so I may be, or Jackie might be, secretly tapping on people's shoulders if we get nominations in a particular category that say not teaching, because we want to make sure professionals in that category help us evaluate it. So we've got that. I'm going to keep scrolling because you guys can read all that as you need to. And then I highlighted something else in that, like turquoise color, and that's the process that we have to go through before we send it to SUNY. And I just want you guys to be aware of just how much of a commitment this is, and again, why we need that month-long timeline before it goes to SUNY. So I just want you to kind of, you've got it at your disposal, you can reference it as you need to. If you don't know, or if reading it and you think you want to nominate somebody and you're a little intimidated reading the criteria, just email me, just email Jackie. We can meet with you either WebEx or on whatever campus, and we can kind of like have a discussion about it. So I don't want you guys to feel like you're out on your own. If you think you want to nominate somebody but you don't know what to do. That's what we're going to do. I think that's it. Any questions? Awesome. I can't wait to get the nominations.
And just to piggyback on what Erica has mentioned, is we really have not sent nominations in the last few years. I mean, obviously COVID and things were just crazy, and we had a wave of retirements of people that never received a SUNY Chancellor Award that were deserving of SUNY Chancellor Awards. So I want to emphasize that many of us have been here for a long time, and we know who's here every day for our students and doing an amazing job. And let's not, miss out on that opportunity, again, to recognize our fellow faculty and professionals at the college. Middle States update, Catherine Colesto.
So we had our Middle States visit on the last week, Monday and Tuesday. Please refer to your email for an update about the message that they left with us. We are expecting to have a decision by the commission either in November or in December. They haven't given us a direct timeline at this point. We did turn in our edits on their peer review report. There were just 4 little minor discrepancies, so those are being taken care of, and we should have, they should have their final report up and locked on the 28th of this month. So just to kind of give everyone an update on the work that was done over the summer and where we are now and where we're heading. All summer, there was a group of folks that were working on a guide to assessment at SUNY Erie. The first, I would say, first 3 weeks of school, we met with the academic divisions and the chairs of each unit. In those meetings, the chairs of each unit was given a copy of the guide to assessment and asked to work alongside reading pages. It's really long, by the way. It's 67 pages, but they read pages 1 through 22. And they did some work on curriculum maps and on assessment method rewrites. What's going to happen moving forward in the next 2 weeks, you will have meetings with either myself and Dr. Kane, or myself and your assessment mentor and your department chair and your academic dean, where we will move forward with assessment plans for the year. What we're trying to do is work in a more systematic approach where all throughout the academic year, assessment becomes part of our everyday lives. So you're not crunching, right before a unit review or before Middle States comes back again. So we'll have a much more structured plan moving forward where we'll work alongside of all the faculty as we build the assessments throughout the year. So you'll be seeing, hopefully, email invites from your department chair and or from me in the next couple weeks to get that ball rolling. Thank you.
Thank you. And any questions for Kathy? All right, great. I know Jackie Bossman, as the accreditation chair, has something to add, report.
Hi, everyone. You might not recognize me in this position. This is my first report as the accreditation chair. I have communicated with some programs at the college as the accreditation chair, and I do intend to reach out to all accredited programs to introduce myself and to meet the department heads. And I look forward to working with everyone. One update with regards to accreditation. Recently, the college was made aware of changes to the regulations for the profession of accountancy, referring to an approved amendment of regulations of the Commissioner of Education regarding programs leading to licensure in the profession of public accountancy. I investigated whether the changes had an impact on the accounting technician certificate and the business administration AS degree here at Erie. It is my opinion and the opinion of the business administration department that the changes highlighted in the memo that we received do not apply to our college's accounting technician certificate, nor do they apply to the business administration degree. Erie Community College does not have a licensure qualifying accounting program, so the changes outlined in the memo just don't apply to our program. So if you have any further questions on this inquiry or anything else, you can email me or talk to me after the meeting. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jackie. Any questions? Excellent. All right, half-semester courses. I'm going to pass it over to David Uzinski.
Hi, everybody. So an update on the half-semester courses. We have an announcement that went out. Thank you, Pat Ryan. I saw the announcement on Brightspace, the global announcement, but we're also asking faculty to also post announcements in their courses and talk about them as well. The courses begin on 10/31. That doesn't mean you have to wait that long because run cancel is the Thursday before that. So please start talking to your students. Just a couple things that would help students if they're interested in this. It's basically tuition free if they're at 12 credits, but there are some fees that they would have to pay, but most students look at that as being a bargain, like, hey, if I have to pay $75 for a 3-credit course, at this juncture, it's great. The other issue is that a lot of students might be shopping. For example, if they're in a EN 100 and they're not doing too well and they want to withdraw from that class and add a EN 100, well, they can't even do that because that's not even offered. But if they wanted to add the same course back, let's say an EN 101, they can't do that. You can't double dip in the same semester. But if they were struggling in EN 101, they could add EN 102. Or they could be added to that. Also, some of my students, when I've been bringing it up in my class, were confused that, do you have to withdraw from a class in order to take one of these? And the answer is no. If they only signed up for 12 credits at the beginning of the semester because sections were full and they feel they can do the work, then they can add a course to their current load. And there was one other condition that was brought to my attention. Thank you, Amy. We've been emailing a lot back and forth. If a student is not currently admitted to the college, they cannot sign up for the course. So that kind of ruined the idea of maybe we could get this out there on Explore SUNY, which is where all our online courses are housed, and try to grab students from external colleges because they have to have applied and been admitted already for them to register. So I don't know, we'll have to look at that in the future to see how that can work in the spring. So I did want to say thank you because this is not something that you can do alone. And so I just wanted to share, let you know who's been helping. Michael Barone helped with the initial announcement and was pivotal in getting that together. Kathy Calesto, Susan McLaughlin, Eric Nealons, Jennifer Noble, Amy Kristen Faust, Pat Ryan, Jason Steinitz, of course, who I was taking the reins over for this semester, and Andy Anesi. I hope I didn't leave anyone out. Oh, wait, I did. Like, I left one person out. Heather Hewson is also a counselor. So there's 3 counselors. I think there's one additional one that was kind of updated. I don't think Lynn is helping this semester, but Amy, Susan, and Heather are counselors that you can contact to register for the courses. Most of the courses, if not all, are set at a cap of 0, so you do have to talk to a counselor in order to be registered. And I will field any questions if there's anything I missed or if there's anything. Yes, Mike?
Dave, not to put you on the spot, but where does the conversation, if you know, stand with regards to allowing students to take it that are not currently registered? Because there's always been a stigma of these courses as recovery courses, and I don't think we want to keep that stigma that they're just recovery. I think we could pull in a lot of UB students that are
Right.
ECC students, but we could get them right now that are failing out and get them here. Why do they have to be ECC students? How come this change can't happen tomorrow?
That is a great question.
I don't.
Notice that the name recovery has not shown up in any of the announcements any longer, so we are trying to discard that title. That seemed to be maybe a little bit limiting. If a student has applied to the college and admitted but aren't registered currently, they can sign up for the classes, but the caveat is they can't use financial aid. So they would have to pay cash for those courses, or pay out of pocket for those courses. As for new students, like someone at another SUNY institution, I don't know what the process is to get them, I don't know if that's possible to get them admitted. It is possible. It is not possible. I have to defer to those who know.
I could answer a bit of that. And I think it is something to what you talked about, Mike, as well, that one of the ongoing conversations I was having with Dave, and I think this is a great way for us to move forward, is if we're strategically put these into the schedules moving forward, I think it becomes somewhat of a moot point, because then a student, for example, could decide early on about being able then to register for these half-semester classes. As you're talking about a student that then is past our lock-in date, being able then to accept that student here is something that we currently cannot process. And so those students that, for example, as you mentioned about UB, because we've already been at that lock-in date, we won't be able then to admit them here for this semester.
My concern just in general, how does a UB student know if they're going to succeed or not in the course there? They start there, they don't succeed, then they could come here. They're not going to sign up for us instantaneously if they don't know they're not going to succeed there. That's the issue.
Right,
if
I
we can't-
think that's also why we're going to be exploring that for future semesters. Like, this is this is happening in a couple of weeks, and all those concerns could definitely, I think, be brought forward as we work to accommodate other students in the county for future semesters.
Also, just one question, I don't know if this would occur, but say someone wanted to take one of those classes as a non-credit. Would that change anything?
To
You mean
audit,
non-matriculated?
Yeah, non-matriculated.
Adium?
So I think we have, and that's a great idea, Mike and Dr. Balkin. I think that's an opportunity for us to see how we start our start period, right? So we have a start and we have a point that we use as a college, so that's something that we could explore to see how we could do that and move forward with that. Because that's a great opportunity to be able to say you could start whether you use your financial aid or not, but we gotta work with our system to see how that works.
Yeah, all great ideas for revenue, for sure. Tom Webb?
Yeah, I just had a question. How would this work if a student wanted to cross-register in there? I have students at Buff State, because I teach an adjunct class, and they need to take an accounting course, so they just simply cross-registered here. Could they cross-register for one of these? Or is that too technical? No.
Anybody?
Again, great opportunity for us to collaborate with Buff State. We are already working with them, so I think that's another opportunity. I think in part, Jason and team have worked really well on trying to really cultivate these courses and how we manage them. And then Dave has taken it on with the team to get it to this point. Now we have an opportunity to even expand beyond our students. So these are great things that we could look into.
Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Great opportunities to grow this program. Dave?
So I just wanted to add one last comment was, if you have ideas for sequence courses, which you don't see up here for these half-semester courses, which can be searched with the tag. They're actually half-semester courses, as it says there. What you don't see are the 7AI courses, which were the ones that are running currently for the first half of the semester. And some of these are actually a second half course that would to work with it. So for example, I believe the macroeconomics ran in the first 7.5 weeks, and now microeconomics will be running in the second. And as Adium has said and Erickson has said, we are hoping that these become part of the schedule when students register, and they're not just added late. So if you have ideas or other ideas that you think might be a good candidate for a sequence course for the spring semester, if you could email me, usinski@ecc.edu, that would be great, because then we can hopefully get that, as we're figuring out schedules for the spring, we can get that added.
Yep, Michael.
Dave, just one more question. Again, sorry to put you on the spot. Is there a waiting list type system in terms of, not necessarily to add another course right now, but if counselors are talking to students that are not succeeded, can there be a wait list system to be like, I would like this math course to go on. I would like this English class to go on. Like, how is this list constructed compared to, what students need? This is just a shot in the dark. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but.
You're not entirely wrong. I believe these courses were developed because they're one of the higher enrolled elective courses that can cover a lot of the gen ed requirements as well. Mm-hmm. So we also have kept courses on and removed some courses depending on success. So there has been some process where some courses were not renewed because there were low success rates. So we are trying to evaluate how successful this is for our students, but I think that's a fantastic idea if we could keep track of maybe courses where students are failing out in the first 6-7 weeks, or even just want a half semester course in terms of some other subject area. We do need that information, and I don't know how else we can get it unless we run a survey or something.
Yeah, I was just wondering if we could poll the entire institution and be like, is anybody in favor of adding a course to the list, and see how many people would sign up?
I can make sure I include that on the email that I sent out later in the week asking for additional information from faculty and staff. Jason?
I just wanted to mention that one way we got some of this information was from the students and the counselors. That's where the sciences courses came from this semester. And we just sort of reached out, and biology stepped up and said, okay, we'll try this and see how it goes. But I think having the counselors working with the students getting into these classes has helped in that regard, because they find out what the students are looking for, what do they need in their program area. Science was a big gap. So now we'll see how that goes this semester with having those offered. So.
Right. Just to add to Jason's point, I think this is also a great opportunity as we're doing advisement from the faculty side to really talk to students to see if this type of format and this type of delivery is something that they're interested in. So this is also another great opportunity to tap into faculty as they're doing advisement.
Great, thank you. Last, under old business, we have the Academic Standards Committee. Academic Standards Committee passed last month. We've asked for interested parties to let us know they're interested. We're looking for 4 faculty members from the 4 divisions, as well as a department chair. We've gotten 2 divisions and a department chair so far. No other faculty seem to be interested. We also asked for several counselors to be a part of the portion with probation and student issues, and we've only had 1 counselor identified as interested in participating in this. We have some business coming up that this committee needs to look at. One of the things is our placement test policy. and that work needs to be done. So again, this was a really large feat to put this committee, well, to reopen the committee, right, because it kind of died. We got it back, we got the process, and now it's under the Senate, and now we need to get this committee off the ground and running. So again, if you're interested in this work, please email me. This is not a monthly commitment. This is about twice a semester, and a lot of the work will be done via email. And it's a chance to be able to write academic policy for the entire college, and a chance for our student support services to work with our students for different support services, probation, et cetera. Okay, we're going to move on to new business, and Pat Ryan for Brightspace.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are fully in Brightspace at this point. Let's see, Blackboard will go away completely in December, so if you have any incompletes there, you need to finish them up, or we need to start talking about figuring out how to move them over to Brightspace. Class migration in the last couple of weeks with Joe's assistance. We migrated all of the 21 summer classes from Blackboard to Brightspace, so they should be there when you're teaching a summer class in this upcoming year. So you should find all of your classes for a full academic year in Brightspace from Blackboard. We've got a couple of outstanding third-party integrations that we're waiting for SUNY to complete. The biggest among those is Starfish. Joe and I met with SUNY a week ago Wednesday. We meet every other week. We made sure they knew it was a high priority. It's like talking to teenage children. We're still waiting. Let's see. We have a couple of duplicate accounts. There's only 3 that I'm aware of right now in Brightspace. It was due to global IDs changing from SUNY. They give us one and then change their mind, and gave us a different one. So we're down to 3 duplicate accounts. I know some of you had 2 or 3 accounts for quite some time. We've cleaned all of that up. I'm sure I'm missing something here, but we're up and running, and we're going, as from what we can tell from the service desk, the students are handling Brightspace way better than they ever handled Blackboard. We have very few student tickets, and I encourage people to use the service desk for things, because I can tell you that I read every service desk ticket before I read a single email, and most of my staff does as well. So I really recommend using the service desk for any Brightspace issues, concerns, and we encourage your students to do this the same. We do not have the mentors we had a year ago. We are dependent on service desk tickets to be opened. If they call in, Lydia's crew is really good at getting them in the system. Make sure they're reporting through the service desk. That's what I got, and I suppose I probably should take a question or 3 at this point.
All right, before we pass it over to questions, I just want to point out that DL has gone from 8 people to 3 people. And they have been responsible for the full Brightspace migration at the college. And a lot of the 4-year SUNYs, because their academic calendar ends before our fall academic calendar, they haven't even migrated yet. So our sections have gone up, our enrollments have gone up, and our seats per section has also gone up. So I just want to say thank you, DL. You've been working amazingly hard with less than 50% of the staff that we've had a year ago. Questions for Pat Ryan?
Before questions, we didn't do it alone. ITS and the Workday team has done a lot of work on this process as well.
Yes. Thank you. Brightspace questions? You're off the hook.
One last thing, we have a couple of, the next 3 Wednesdays at 2 o'clock, we are doing a focus-based workshop right out of B203, the computer lab at the end of the hall here. One of them anyways. So they're from 2 to 3 here. We've focused one on discussions, one on tests, and one on gradebook settings. The idea is our staff will talk for 10 minutes, and then we'll run around like idiots helping all of you.
That actually sounds perfect because it's a nice working session, kind of like a sandbox. So if you recall years ago when we were switching over to OER and trying to make sure that we were following the SUNY model for online, we were doing the sandboxes and things like that. So it's going to work in a similar format. Thank you, Pat. There it is. Okay, so next on new business, we have a resolution to create a faculty handbook. This was a late agenda item with, oh, it just kicked me out. Of course it did. There we go. One of the things that we've been talking about is creating a faculty handbook. I've been talking with Andy Sacco, FFVCC president, along with Dr. Balkin, about the creation of a faculty handbook. So what we decided together is that the best way to accomplish this is to work through governance and have a faculty handbook written by faculty for faculty. And I have the resolution up here. And some of these whereas are not going to be a surprise. We have relevant academic documents scattered throughout multiple and disconnected silos, right? And we all know that, and sometimes we'll field phone calls from each other. I'm trying to find X, anyone know where it is? Things like that. So it's going to create a centralized, comprehensive resource to better inform the college community, and then, of course, the growing complexity of the ever-changing academic environment. Our migration to Brightspace, for example, is another change of our academic environment. The handbook is going to gather and vet resources for the training, benefit, and success of all the faculty within the institution. It's going to be a collection of resources and best practices as defined by faculty, written by faculty for faculty. It will also allow easy access to the academic policies that were created through shared governance. So again, similar to the academic freedom policy that I highlighted at the beginning of the meeting that was created within shared governance. We voted on it, and we pushed it through the president's office to the board of trustees. All of those academic policies are important, and we should all know them. We should also be able to find them easily. So the task force is going to be responsible for gathering, organizing, and collating individual resources into one comprehensive electronic evergreen resource. The task force that is being proposed is going to consist of 6 members, 3 FFVCC members appointed by the College Senate Chair and 3 FFVCC members appointed by the FFVCC President. Resolved, this collection of resources will not supersede or contradict the current or future collective bargaining agreements between the college and FFVCC. The task force will also explore the best practices of other SUNY community colleges and determine their appropriate use for SUNY Erie. We're already in contact with 4 other community colleges, and the resources and soft copies, if you will, or web pages that have similar things so that we're not recreating the wheel here. We're finding best practices across other colleges that are similar. We're hoping to have initial findings and recommendations by the end of the fall semester, which would be our December meeting. And then in the first meeting of the spring, we would like to have a preliminary electronic document source library thing. And we'll let the task force be in charge of that development of what it's going to look like. Before we can discuss it, I'm going to need a motion to pass this resolution. Jackie Bossman, second. Michael Higgins. Questions? Comments? Kathy?
Your first resolve, College Senate, should be capitalized, I think.
Okay. Dr. Balkin?
So will the College Senate also define how it will be updated? So, it being that it's evergreen, will things be voted on in this to be incorporated?
Yes, so typically when we'll have a task force that does any of their work, their findings come here, and when they feel that they're ready to put something out forward, we will vote on it as a body and debate things as a body. So as things that we may notice, so like, hey, we didn't define this, how things are going to be updated. We'll make sure that those are all going to be things that are going to be debated and discussed, and then part of before anything is voted on or passed.
So the task force will exist forever?
Nope. Oh, I didn't mean to scream. No, the task force, one of their findings can be a recommendation of, a committee that reviews it yearly, or they could, anything like that. Usually, when we have task force, they do whatever their job is and bring it to completion, and then at the end, when they present their findings, they'll also present recommendations, where it might be a standing committee that meets whatever they define, say yearly or whatever, to do that kind of work. Other questions? Comments? All right, because this is a task force that is going to be doing important work for the faculty, I'm going to bring it to an electronic vote instead of doing consent. We'll do it electronically. So Erica's going to send it out. It should be out. It stopped refreshing. 35 yes, 1 no, 1 abstention. The resolution passes. If you're interested, please reach out to myself or Andy Sacco to work on this task force. And again, we're defining faculty by members of FFECC, so we're not saying teaching or non-teaching. It's just if you're covered under that contract, you qualify. We have 2 things that are coming from, sorry, Dan. There, now you're on there. From Dan Vertera and Amy Yoder. It's the Erie Connects and the Oasis app launch. Which one do you want to do first?
Whichever one you bring up. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today on SUNY Erie Connects and on emotional health support. This is an effort that's been ongoing for the better part of 3.5 years, and through some funding through Perkins, through the SUNY Mental Health Grant, we are bringing in additional resources to support emotional health. Next slide, please.
I got too excited. I hit a lot of buttons. There we go.
One that you will see coming up in the next few weeks is Oasis. Oasis is a emotional health, mental health support app that'll be rolling out for students. It allows them to receive daily affirmations, log their moods and insights, secure journaling. There are 100 plus self-care articles in here, campus information. Colleen, you want to go to the next one? This is what the app actually looks like, and it pops up on a regular basis to allow the students to get a daily check-in. The self-care information on the next slide to the right will take you into what will be our SUNY Erie facing page. And this will give the student access to emotional health support on campus, the additional academic support, student access, health office, and each one of those are built in with the population of how does a student seek and receive additional emotional health support. Again, not meant to be mental health support. This is rolling out to students. It's one of the top 5 rated apps for this type of work. It's all being funded under the SUNY Mental Health Initiative. Next slide. To go along with this, we are rolling out in the next few weeks a web-based avatar training for students as well as faculty and staff through Cognito. This training will help to give resources on how to work with someone who's considered to quote-unquote be at risk. This model was adopted utilizing some of our SUNY partners as well as some national pieces. Cognito will roll out and give you today type avatar training. Campus violence, community-based violence, working through COVID. How do you work with someone who's dealing with anxiety? How do you work with someone who's dealing with loss of connection, homelessness? This was all based on the Healthy Mind survey we did through the Judd Foundation back in 2017 and 18. Funding we started to bring into place and programming implemented in the fall of 19 and throughout COVID, which brought to us the behavioral intervention team training, brought to us wellness coaching, motivational interviewing with trauma-informed care, now leading us into the implementation of the Oasis app, which allows students to have that support mechanism. How do I quickly track into finding someplace to get some help for my mood today? Cognito has been shown across different SUNY schools that students are more likely to seek help after having this training. Faculty and staff are more likely to know how to work with someone who may be experiencing an increase in some of these areas. Thriving Campus is another piece that is added into the Oasis app. And Thriving Campus allows us to connect students with local licensed mental health providers. It's a SUNY-based system. SUNY's paying the tab on this. We are currently bringing our system up online. The other one is a SUNY Upstate Medical Telehealth Program, which we have begun to use this semester, allowing students to log in from a computer and speak with somebody directly, a licensed mental health professional from SUNY Upstate Medical. These are all pieces as part of the SUNY Erie Connects. And the next slide, which is part of our overall wellness effort. If you have a student who is experiencing some issues, if you want additional resources, if you want to know how you can assist a student in this wellness effort, the email that's up there will go directly to Amy. It will also kick over to me. The website listed up there brings you to all of the resources we have, and it's currently under redevelopment with Mike and his team in public relations to allow a student, faculty and staff, as well as parents and their peers to reach in and find a way to help support each other through this. Every bit of this is based on keeping and retaining one more student, keeping and moving that one more student forward. Questions or concerns on Oasis? Yes, ma'am.
Are there resources for students dealing with domestic violence at home?
Absolutely. Those are listed right in there on that page. They are available through the Oasis app. They're also available by reaching out through the Dean of Students office.
Can I just piggyback on that question? We have Crisis Services Campus Advocate for domestic violence support and guidance. That individual from Crisis Services has an office here at North Campus, but is available remotely as well 24/7 too. So please feel free to reach out to the Deans of Students office and they can connect you with that support too.
Chris?
Yeah, it sounded like you were making a distinction between mental health and emotional health. I didn't know if you wanted to drill down on the distinctions there, perhaps from a liability standpoint. What's the distinction?
Chris, what I'm driving at is to be a licensed mental health professional, which we do not employ, we do not have here on campus, versus emotional health support. And this is a way for us to provide a first response to help a student connect to somebody else. We are not licensed mental health professionals. One of my colleagues that I work with out of Geneseo, they have one licensed mental health professional on the entire campus. Their log right now to get to them is 3.5 weeks for an appointment. We have the ability, emotional health support, to get that student to a point of, how do I find a connection, whether it's crisis services, whether it's somebody in the community, whether it's one of us who've been through the wellness training, to get to the next step, to help them stabilize to get to that point. We're not licensed mental health providers.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you for that question, and thank you, Dan. Kim?
Hello. So would this mean that students who are in crisis or who have concerns and issues, will they be referred to the Dean of Students office or referred to these websites and not referred to counseling?
Any student who is in crisis, you can certainly email this email address, you can call the Student Access Office, but as we're building this model out from the money and the funding that we did generously receive from SUNY, which I gotta tell you, it's something to celebrate, but it also makes me sad because we know that this is a major problem with our students. We know that there's a lot of disconnection to the supports that are available to them, and they don't know how to ask. So as we build this model and build the training, we want our staff to be able to give kind of the first response to what I can do to help the student in the there now, and then who can I connect them with. We have an MOU in place for OLV services that does provide licensed mental health counseling, which is available. We have our crisis services advocate for domestic violence, but those services are also available beyond that in 24/7 increments as well. So.
Thank you, Amy. I don't know your name, I'm sorry.
Christy Goss. I'm sorry, Dan, did you tell me this is implemented right now, or we're going to implement it at a date? And did you have a date? That's my first question. Then my second question is...
Sure. Right now, Kristen, it's literally back and forth between the correct colors, the correct logos, and all the content information. It should be It was approved by Board of Trustees in September. We've been working through all the process. We should be up and running well before the end of this month.
And how are we going to spread the word among our students in campus? Is there going to be a bright space, maybe announcement, or is there a way that the campus community and faculty will all know about it?
There is an ongoing effort with public relations. Mike Barona stepped up to help us figure out how the best way to deliver this out via our web, via social media announcements, via Brightspace. It's a multi-pronged approach to make sure as many people as possible get this. Additionally, through the process with OASIS, they help us to recruit student ambassadors. Those student ambassadors can then bring the information out with a QR code right to a student and say, hey, did you know we have this? And bring that out as part of a piece.
Thank you. Other questions? All right, we're going to go on to Student Access Center.
Next slide. What you have in front of you right now is a revised policy for student access testing. And that is when a test is, and I'll say this, properly scheduled through our office, following the procedures with the student, with the faculty, to make sure that the test is administered in our office. You'll have two options to receive that test back. One is it'll be scanned and emailed, which is our preference. That way it's right back to you immediately. Or you can come down and pick it up. However, if it's there still at the end of the day, it's going to be scanned and sent right back to you. Easiest way to do this. And I know a lot of us have personal relationships. We want to come in and we want to see wonderful people like Dana. We want Dana to come out and see us. But the volume right now is about 14% of the student population is being handled through student access. The amount of testing, what we need to be able to get this test back to you and maintain academic integrity of it. You want to go through the process of having a student hand carry it. We really don't want to do that because it does not protect your academic integrity. We really want to go through the process of we will scan this back to you immediately. You have it instantaneously. We don't have to worry about the mailroom. We don't have to worry about somebody getting down to pick it up. We don't have to worry about handing it off to a student. So going forward, it'll be scanned or you can come in and pick it up, but it has to be done immediately that day and it has to be coordinated with our office.
Oh, you have to go into the microphone, because otherwise the stream doesn't pick it up.
I was just asking, how will this work with Scantrons? The majority of my exams are given with Scantrons. So I'm not sure how you're going to scan that back to me so I can put it through the machine to get my data.
Then that is a situation where you will need to be into our office by the end of the day to pick it up. We can scan it back and we can hold that. But we have to move this thing forward. And we'll scan it to you. You can come down and pick it up by the end of the day.
Other questions? Dana?
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm the technical assistant for student access at North. For all the North Campus teachers, we're cool. Don't worry about anything.
Thanks, Dana. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to say similar to DL, the Student Access Center staff has also decreased, which is why doing this process is necessary. It's going to help workload and workflow, and that's streamlining, and again, helping with academic integrity. Questions, comments? Okay. Derek?
So if I understood correctly, it gets scanned. If you don't come in, it gets scanned, but the original will stay in the office.
Correct.
So you can still pick it up later if we mess up.
We really want to move away from that. But yes, it'll be maintained in the office, secured in the cabinet, locked. But we want to move away. And I understand there's some concerns about, how we're doing this and, well, when do we get to you? And we're doing our best to accommodate what these students need to have and what they're legally entitled to. So we are going to do our best. We will scan it right back to you. If you forget to come and see us, you at least have that copy in your hand.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I just whispered to Erica, we have scheduling on there, but I don't remember why. I know we're all in the midst of finalizing schedules for the spring semester. They need to be due to registrar by Friday, I think.
Yep. So before that, though, all the schedules have been submitted to the provost's office. Thanks, everyone. So then we are looking at it right now. We're reviewing it. Any feedback that is worth having a meeting, we will do that immediately and then get that to you by Friday. So then you review it again and then it's submitted to the registrar's office. So you're going to have one more opportunity to look at the final schedule. And so I got to say, most of what I've seen so far is very consistent to what was recommended to the department. So thank you for doing the work.
Great, thank you. Pam?
Regarding scheduling, I hope that this coming semester there will be more remedial math and English courses. I had many students that registered late that needed both of those, and it's very hard to get them in other classes when their English is so weak. So I hope that that will be fixed this semester.
Thank you. One of the other items that we talked about at Senate Executive Committee, which isn't ready yet, but as we've been moving academic committees underneath the College Senate, one of the committees that we're going to talk about adopting is a college-wide scheduling committee so that we can streamline the process and work together as a team across the 3 campuses together instead of in our separate silos to help develop a better schedule for our students and to be able to, address different needs from departments like you highlighted to Pam. So that is something the College Senate Executive Committee will be working on that will be coming at some point to this body. We're shooting for November because it would be a bylaw change, which means we need to present it to you once before we can vote on it, and then we would vote in December. So that's the goal. All I have so far is scheduling committee college-wide. So we haven't gone writing it yet, but if you're interested in any of that work to write that committee, come on and help. I'd love it. Lastly, we're at For the Good of the Order. And I apologize, I skipped that in September, and then I heard about it after the fact that people were waiting to talk about things during For the Good of the Order. But the last meeting, we really ran up on time. So we do have some minutes at the end here. And so for those that are new, because we have a lot of newer individuals here and those watching. So For the Good of the Order is, hey, I have a question about this. Or I don't know how to find this, and things like that. So things that we haven't actually discussed on the agenda. I have a student concern about this. So we might not be able to solve the problems today, but we can at least get it out there. Maybe someone here might know the answer, or we can write it down and try and find an answer to solve any issues. Does anybody have it? Joe Lundeen.
So I know this was brought up by Kathy Colesto at several meetings ago, but I don't think anything happened to it. But what would have to happen for the College Senate meetings to go remote? Just with the reorganization of, the college and a lot of these offices being sparse, especially the administrative offices. I know it would be more inclusive to have it remote so people wouldn't have to drive all the way to North Campus, especially now that we're requiring, non-voting liaisons to show up. Also, it saves money without having additional travel time needed for everyone to take an hour to travel if they're at City or South Campus to come here. Not to mention the environmental impact of driving, here. We're keeping people safer in flu season and COVID season and winter travel. So I just wondered if that was something that we could investigate more or vote on to have somebody investigate this further.
I can add that to the agenda for the College Senate Executive Committee.
Okay.
There's also a really super cool blue minivan that leaves the South Towns and drives here. I mean, membership to the Southtown carpool is, there's a list, but I can get you in if you want.
Okay.
Only
Thank
one of
you.
my doors works, though.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep. Other concerns? Yes.
This question is for Pat Ryan for Brightspace. At the beginning of the semester, we had that update, and I had already linked my Pearson account with Brightspace, and it created a big headache for a week and a half with Pearson to figure out how to unlink my Pearson account and reconnect. I don't know if that will happen again or if I should wait till the semester to link my Pearson account.
That was 100% related to a duplicate account issue, which we shouldn't have going forward.
Okay.
It was the leading zero issue, where the global ID could be up to 10 digits, and our initial programming made it 10 digits, which made it a problem for one ID across SUNY. So we had to recreate all those accounts, re-enroll everybody, and then delete those 650 accounts. So that was just an unfortunate side effect of that. You should have no problems with your Pearson account going forward. It's just a matter of it was linked to the wrong Brightspace account.
Oh, great, yeah, it seemed like a
But you should
simple
have
thing to
one
do.
now, so it should be good.
Great, it seemed like a simple thing to do, to unlink it, but Pearson did not understand what I wanted to do, but thank you.
Right, and I think that was
They
a
actually got their
SUNY-wide
solution
thing.
from me.
Because you're amazing. Of course they got it from you. Way to go, Pat. And a lot of that was with SUNY, and because we've gotten through all the bumps and all the things, and again, like we said earlier, the 4 years aren't doing it, right? So we are the true guinea pigs. We're one of the few community colleges that did the pilot over the summer too. So unfortunately, we are the ones experiencing the most bumps and bruises along the way. But that also means that our faculty are going to be ready to roll for the spring and hopefully not have any of these issues. Michael Higgins.
Separate question from that. So I was just wondering if we could have better communication about events happening in the community. This happened last month, and I might be the one you're talking about for the good of the order that I wanted to bring stuff up. No. At South Campus, let's just talk about the Bills. I'm a huge Bills fan. You know, whose decision was this in the sense that I know Orchard Park and other schools in the area closed early. Before, for Bills games, we closed at 4, now we close at 2. Education's taking a back seat to national football. This is getting ridiculous. 2, we had an arts festival at South Campus. My students were walking into class 20 minutes late because Building 3 parking lot was closed because of the arts festival setting up. They didn't know how to get from Building 5 to 3 inside. There was no notification of this anywhere to students, to faculty. You know, I drove in and I didn't know I couldn't park in 3. I had to park on the other side. You know, no communication went out about this. Columbus Day, the shuttle services were different. Half my students didn't show up to class because there wasn't shuttle services to campuses. This is not being sent out to students.
So, great point, and I agree fully. And one of the challenges that, for whatever reason we have, is people who know that things are changing or that there's an impact to schedules aren't communicating with our marketing organization, which is in place, and we could leverage them, you know, Mike Barone and his team 100% more than we are. So, you know, again, I don't know how to communicate it more, but I think you're right on the money with respect to the fact that for whatever reason, there are a lot of people who are keeping information to themselves as opposed to thinking about whether or not it's going to be impactful. Your point about shuttle schedules changing, you'd think somebody would have asked us or the administration. I wasn't aware of it. I don't know if anybody none of us were aware of it. So whether or not they really changed or somebody didn't show up for work, you know, driving the shuttle, we don't really know. And that, you know, in fact, that's the first time I even heard that happened this week. So, you know.
Additionally, the NFTA schedules were also affected, which is outside of ECC. And it also, I had students for the Bills game, they take the 2:30 NFTA bus, and for the home opener, or no, it was the Monday night game, they ended up, the shuttle couldn't get to us.
Yeah, the
because-
shuttle, just to clarify, the shuttle did run on schedule,
Thank
both
you, Jason.
lines that day. It was the NFTA buses that were on a holiday schedule.
Mhm.
But
Which
either
we
way.
didn't know about until after the fact, and Erica brought it to our attention, so thank
Right.
you.
But to that point, you know, we're also looking to restructure our transportation under Mark Pacholik. So frankly, any holiday schedule, we should know about well in advance of the week that it's happening, to your point. And, you know, if there's an interruption due to some unique circumstance associated with the Buffalo Bills, I'd like a better explanation than just to say, well, we think it's a big game. You know, so I think that's a fair point.
Great.
And I'll work with Mark Pacholik to get a better handle on all those types of things. But I also just want to encourage all of you, as you're interacting with different organizations, student groups, you know, the more information we can get to our marketing team to build a master calendar so that we can all anticipate regularly scheduled events and then drop in the unique instances, the better. So thank you so much for highlighting it.
Absolutely. And I also want to point out, everyone has my email too. So if you have information and you're just not sure where to go with it or anything, you can always reach out to me, and then if I can pass it along or, help solve that problem. I know, Jackie, you had something real quick.
Yes, sorry, I hate to do this to everyone, but I have a faculty council update. Don't be too excited. Calm down. I'll be quick. And really quick, another thing is that some good news. There isn't, I guess good news in this conversation, there isn't another primetime Buffalo Bills game through week 17 this season. So it'll be Cincinnati and Foxborough's problem, at least until week 18 when we host and destroy the Patriots. But anyway.
Right, but we won't be in session then.
But we won't be in session, yes. Okay, so you'll notice in the committee reports that it says faculty council and not FCCC. So we've listed it differently on the agenda. We're going to continue to refer to the Faculty Council of Community Colleges as the Faculty Council going forward to promote a clear distinction between Faculty Council and the FFECC, and therefore avoid confusion between matters of governance and labor, and keep us all from repeating C's into infinity. Also, the Faculty Council meets once per semester to discuss academic issues. As your delegate, the Faculty Council delegate for Erie, I typically go. I'm unable to attend this year to represent Erie. If the delegate cannot attend the plenary for whatever reason, an alternate or non-voting liaison should attend in their place. Michael Rio will attend this fall as a non-voting liaison, and he will report back to me and the Senate body on his collaborations with other community college faculty and governance leaders, as well as interactions with SUNY administration, and of course, update us all on local, state, and national matters concerning higher education that are discussed at the plenary event. So thank you, Michael, for being available, and we will look forward to your report. I also will report on the governance actions of the Faculty Council, such as new position statements, resolutions, and including committee work of professional development. In particular, you can expect updates on the welcome binder, which will be available to the college president soon. The guide contains many of the important documents, resolutions, and contributions of the Faculty Council of Community College, and it is also a reference for shared governance and its importance.
Great.
Any questions? Yeah.
Thank you, Jackie. Kathy, I was going to call you Kathy Bossman. Kathy Klesto. Sorry.
I just wanted to give a brief update to something that Jackie just reminded me of. So the Center for Professional Development, we are kind of changing the structure for requesting funding. I think in the past, the FCC came from the provost account, but so that we can track all of our CPD funding, we're going to ask everything be any travel for any of the college business be brought through the Center for Professional Development. This will help us in the future track everything. It also addresses some of the comments that we had made, we received from Middle States. So it'll just keep our paperwork a little cleaner in the future. So thank you.
Anything else for the good of the order? All right, it is 3:55 and 70 degrees outside. Get out there and enjoy it before you're freezing your toe. Oh, it's 67 now, Erica said. You're such a Debbie Downer. All right, enjoy that sunshine. It's going to be, have snow flying soon. Take care. See you in November.